I always wondered why call your show secular talk? This isn't Saudi Arabia, you know. Most talk is secular talk in America. That's how the separation of church and state works. But anyways, I'm gonna do a clip uh, on Kyle Kulinski. It's a very old clip. It's not that old actually, but I do. This is 4 years ago. I like this story a lot, and I find it to be very revealing about who he is. Um, so, do you remember that? Remember the nerdy sidekick in every teen comedy from the 1990s? Let's hear his opinions on art.
Visited the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, and he took his glasses off and he put them on the floor to basically test people to see if they think it's an exhibit. And of course, they did. So a bunch of goofballs went over to it and they oohed and they awed and they got down and they took pictures and they discussed the meaning and yeah, this to me is just a
Yeah.
clear example that sometimes modern art is just flat out made up and it's bullshit.
Yeah, dude, it's not just modern art, guy. All art is made up. Van Goghs don't grow on trees. The reason I love this story is because it's about an art prank that backfired. There's a tradition of art pranks by artists against museums. Usually, those pranks themselves are art. These kids unwittingly participated in a tradition and unwittingly created a work of art. Uh, what the president of the yearbook committee here is neglecting a few details though that are important. First off, these kids placed these glasses very carefully underneath the title of the show, so it was perfectly reasonable for all these folks to gather around and check it out. Um, I don't know if they oohed or if they odd or if they even ahad or whatever, but it is perfectly reasonable. A response at a modern art exhibit or a postmodern art exhibit. Um, the other detail is important is a representative from the museum once they tweeted a picture of what they had done. Uh, a representative from the museum was very humored by it. They thought it was funny, and they posted an article about Marcel Duchamp that these kids got to learn about Marcel Duchamp as a result of what they had done. And Marcel Duchamp in 1917 had invented. So he may have stolen this from somebody else, but we won't get into that right now. You should just look it up. Um, he put a urinal, and that itself into an art exhibit, or he tried to enter a urinal into an art exhibit. Um, that was itself a prank, and but what happened was he created this idea of a ready-made, and a ready-made is like this: you spill paint on a piece of wood, and you think, "Oh wow, that looks pretty." If that was in a museum, it would be a work of art. Well, that's the idea. If you take a piece of something, an object, Duchamp used a snow shovel at one point, hung it from a ceiling, then it's recontextualized. So, for instance, maybe the person who created those glasses likes to think of those glasses as a work of art. Well, he now has an opportunity for it to be a work of art because somebody put it into a museum and people regarded it in that manner. We see objects like this every day that are beautiful. Um, it could be like a rusty pipe, and you think to yourself, well, that could be a sculpture. All you got to do is take it out of the ground, stick it into a museum, and it's a sculpture. Now, let's see if the stage manager for your high school production of The Music Man here disagrees with Duchamp's thesis.
If you have a blank canvas and you hang it on a wall and you say it's art, no, it's the lack of art. You have a blank canvas on a wall. That doesn't mean.
Okay, I don't know what he means by blank canvas. I've never heard of a work of art being a blank canvas. There are white on white paintings. Um, if you look very closely and very detailed, they're very detailed paintings, and they are kind of hard to put together sometimes. But he could be referring to something called minimalism. Now, minimalism is a certain style. It was born in the 1950s. It's exactly what it says. Minimal. It's a responsive abstract expressionism where you're dehumanizing the artist, which kind of makes sense because it's the 1950s. It's a very conformist Eisenhower era. That's what we think of the 1950s. It would make sense in an age of the birth of automation that we would the kind of art that would come out of that would be very automated and frankly probably a little dull. I don't know. It's not my thing.
Anything. But then they say, oh, well, your interpretation of it changes everything. Just because you have an active, and in many cases overactive mind, where you interpret things that are not there, does not mean that there is something there and I'm just too stubborn and rigid and stupid to not see it. No, that's not what it means. But in fact, the guy who did this little study here, I guess you could say, also had a surprising take on it. He said this, quote, I can agree that modern art can be a joke sometimes, but art is a way to express our own creativity. Some may interpret it as a joke, some might find great spiritual meaning in it. At the end of the day, I see it as a pleasure for open-minded people and imaginative minds.
Okay. See, now that's what's funny. That's what's funny about the story, is it backfired. But in a sense, it was a learning experience. See, this kid learned about Marcel Duchamp, and he threw his arms up and went, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I meant to make fun of it, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. That's called learning. You're allowed to change your mind when when new information happens. Now, let's see what the president of the computer club has to say.
I don't. I don't because I don't... Like, if you have somebody who reads a lot into a situation that is not that thing, well, we used to have a word for that. It's called wrong. That is what it is. Like, take, for example, this is a weird kind of parallel to make, but take, for example, some kind of relationship, okay? And the guy or the girl, whoever, looks at the actions of the other one, you know, oh, they have a friendly conversation with a friend of the opposite sex who they've known for a while. And then one person reads into it, oh, well, that means that they're trying to make me jealous. That means that they're playing hard to get. That means that they're doing this, they're doing that. And their mind goes off in 1,000 different directions, and they come up with all these theories about it, and they believe those theories. Well, what if, in reality, that's just not true?
How often do you think that actually happened to Kyle Kulinski? I think what Kyle is trying to tell us here with this analogy is that he's a virgin. We've addressed incels, so-called incels, on this show before, and by no means, I'm no means an apologist for some of those sorts of attitudes. And nobody owes anybody anything. Nobody owes anybody sex. However, how about every once in a while, one of you ladies just take one for the team? I mean, seriously, dude. I mean, can't you just like bang the dork out of this fucking kid? I mean, seriously. Honest, this kid dresses, dude. This kid, you ever seen this kid in a suit? This kid fucking dresses like a high school senior who's getting like dolled up for his fucking cousin's christening. It's fucking. Must be casual fucking Friday on this day because he's got a T-shirt on. Keep thinking he's gonna fucking like 1986 fucking Michael J. Fox over here.
One person knew the other person. They said hi. They had a friendly conversation. Then they moved along, and there wasn't.
Should be noted, by the way, this is not an argument. This does not address Duchamp's thesis or the idea of ready-mades.
No game playing. There was no trying to make somebody jealous. There was no this or that. We would just call that one person being wrong in their interpretation of the situation. But with modern art, by definition, every interpretation is genuine and legitimate and okay.
I don't know where he got that definition from. He needs to cite his fucking sources. I've never heard that before. I don't know what that means. He pulled that out of his fucking ass.
Or not! How about not? How about if I take a picture, a blank canvas, and I hang it up, and I say, you gotta pay me $7,000 for it, what I'm doing is scamming you. I'm a con artist. That's what that is.
No, what that is a fucking Freudian slip.
But people go, when you're so open-minded that any answer is an okay answer, you're not really open-minded. You're just an idiot. So like,
I'd like to know exactly. Hold on. I want to hear some more.
they go, oh no, yes, Kyle, you should be paid thousands of dollars for this painting, because when I look at this blank canvas, what it symbolizes is that life is an open canvas, and you can make of your life what you want to make of your life, and there are infinite possibilities in what you can do with your life, and that symbolizes
Okay, all right. So, I'm not an expert on logical fallacies, but first of all, that would be a scarecrow argument. That would be a scarecrow argument with a person who's inside your head that you're having an imaginary conversation with. Um, there's a second logical fallacy. I don't know what this particular logical fallacy is called, but it's the logical fallacy where he glosses over the fucking fact that he never established the idea that art has to have meaning in the first place. I don't even know where he got that from. If I take a picture of dog shit or I take a picture of the sunset, it could be a fucking gorgeous fucking picture, but what the fuck does that mean? If you paint a flower, I don't know what the fuck that means. So I have no fucking idea where he got this idea from. This is entirely pulled out of his ass, and it's fairly obvious that he did 0.0 research into this topic, and I don't even understand why he fucking made this clip.
infinite nature of the galaxy and of the universe, and then blah 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 blah. And I can sit there the whole time and go, oh yes, oh that's so deep, oh that's so true. But I know I gave you a blank fucking canvas and took thousands of dollars because I'm scamming you.
You are a blank fucking canvas, and you are fucking scamming people. I mean, that would be the best description of Kyle Kulinski. Lead clarinetist in your high school marching band, Kyle Kulinski. I remember the first time I got a boner over Michael Brooks, and it was the Sargon of Akkad debate. And not only did he politely fucking just make a jackass out of that fucking bag of fucking cringe douche fraud, Sam Harris of Akkad or Sargon of Akkad, whatever his name is, in the process of doing that, and it was very funny as well, I got to learn a lot about Islam that I didn't know. I had no idea that there were multiple Sharia laws. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I thought it was just Sharia law. I don't know what the laws are, but I got to learn from that debate that in different regions, Sharia law means different things to different fucking people. That's a fucking broadcaster, dude. That's a guy who brought to the table, first of all, that's a guy who could wear a fucking suit that didn't look like it was from fucking J.C. Penney's. That motherfucker could wear a fucking suit. That motherfucker had an artistic sensibility, an aesthetic ability. He loved hip-hop. He loved Nas. I don't know how he felt about Biggie, but that's cool, dude. Nas fans are cool with me. He had a chain. He knew about international fucking... anyways. The point is compare that to this fella. Compare that to the assistant editor at the fucking high school newspaper, Kyle Kulinski over here. This motherfucker brings nothing to the fucking table. This motherfucker did zero fucking research in this fucking clip. This kid fucking takes a fucking news story off the fucking AP, reads it to you, and then here's my take. And then the take is like 95% of fucking people's take. It's literally boilerplate. The most basic fucking response to a fucking story. Whatever the fucking story is, the predictability, with the exception of Biden versus Trump, the sole exception of that is pretty fucking boilerplate. There's nothing here. Nothing. 80,000 views on this fucking clip in 4 fucking years. What the fuck is this guy offering anybody? He's a scam artist.
So when somebody puts glasses on the ground and they go, let's test to see if these idiots think that it's modern art, and then they think it's modern art, that's not like, this jujitsu move or this counterintuitive thing where it's like, aha! See, but it is really art, because what you're seeing is what life would be like through the eyes of a snail.
No, dum-dum. No. First off, look at this motherfucker has a mic and a fucking headset. President of the AV Club. Holy fucking shit, what a fucking nerd. Listen, I know Francis Bacon. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know a urinal from 1917 is not, he's no Stan Lee. But what the fuck do snails have to fucking do with it? The woman fucking tweeted an explanation explaining that not only are art pranks a tradition in the art community, but that ready-mades are a legitimate form of fucking art. And then the kids backtracked and went, you know what? Okay, fine, it's art. This motherfucker is just inventing conversations that never fucking happened.
At ground level. And it allows you to open up your perspective on the universe and understand that the human perspective is not the only perspective, and the snail perspective or the snake perspective or the squirrel perspective is just as important. It's just lower to the ground. That's what that symbolizes. No, it doesn't. You made all of it up. It's all in your mind.
Look at how fucking angry he is. And this is the very revealing part. Why would this make you angry? Why would the idea of recontextualizing objects into art make him angry? Most people would be pretty fucking indifferent. They'd hear the story and go, that's pretty fucking funny, but he's fucking mad. Well, you know what's funny? There's a lot of people that get angry about art, especially modern art. They're called Nazis. This idea of modern art, this being degenerate, being crazy, being insane, being a scam. This is the same thing that most right-wingers preach. They fucking despise art, especially modern art. Ayn Rand feels this way about art. They did a poll recently where they took a piece of a really interesting looking painting. It was made out of crayons, and they showed it to people. And they asked, do you consider this legitimate art? And what they found was, if you were to say no, it meant more likely that you were to vote for Donald Trump. So, but whatever. Let's watch assistant for the Pon Pon Squad blow his fucking load over this.
Stop pretending like there's something there. Stop insisting like there's always something there. Sometimes there's not something there. And by the way, I think this is flat out fucked up towards actual art and actual artists. Because real art and real artists, they have to really work hard to craft something that is a masterpiece and does convey a deeper message.
And in other words, you're going to dictate to us what art is. And to him, art involves physical labor. So, this is very fucking revealing. I am not the first person to say this, but there's a lot of Republicans that buy art because, in a capitalist society, everything is bought and sold. Anything can be a commodity. So modern art is often bought by Republicans as an investment in the same way real estate is, but they don't respect that fucking art. The reason why, it's a fucking con. To them, anytime you don't slave for a fucking boss, you are pulling a con. If you say that this is a genuine expression, this is my passion, this is what I love to do, whether it's comedy, whether it's whatever, writing, whatever it is, and you say, oh, that's my passion, that's what I want to do, that's what I'm good at, that's what, this is the best way I know how to contribute to society. No. They ask immediately, how much physical labor did you put into it? Who's your boss? Who are you making rich? That's the fucking general attitude. And by the way, that's probably why Joe Rogan is comfortable with Kyle Kulinski. This motherfucker taking pride in his ignorance is just the kind of fucking sap that they love over there on that fucking show. That's why he's allowed on that show and Michael Brooks was never allowed on that show. This is a right-winger's attitude towards art. The idea that art cannot be an idea. that if you're making money, if you're making a living, you better start digging some ditches. Of course, I don't see him digging a lot of ditches. I just see him conning a lot of subscribers out of their fucking money. But whatever. And by the way, real quick, I always wonder, I would like to ask Kyle Kulinski how he feels about Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs got rich. He didn't do any work. He had no vision. He had no ideas of his own. He just stole other people's work, passed it as his own, and got rich. Off a bunch of fucking Asian kids. But whatever. He doesn't have any criticisms for that guy. He has criticisms for Marcel Duchamp. No legitimate arguments. And by the way, I clock him at, I don't know. This video is almost over. I haven't heard a single fucking argument as to why fucking Marcel Duchamp is wrong.
Could you imagine being a real artist and spending 5 years on this brilliant sculpture or painting where you had to sit there and go through all the finer details and you had to be super focused in order to get it to look just right, and then at the end of it all, somebody comes along with a can of tomato soup, they put it down next to it and say, that's art too, these things are equal. They're not equal, bitch. They're not equal. A young guy named TJ...
I believe I got called a bitch by I believe I got called a bitch by the chairman of the dance committee. Yeah, well, I don't know. What would you call it when you're when I watch him on Joe Rogan's show, it takes me back to the days of Hannity and Combs. Guess which one Kyle Kulinski is? You know why I think one of the other reason why Kyle Kulinski is welcome on Joe Rogan's podcast is because he can't grow facial hair, right? So it's easier to wipe the dick gravy off of his skin after Joe Rogan jerks off onto him. Yeah, well, that Campbell's soup can. I'm not a big fan of the Campbell's soup can, but I'm not stupid enough or ignorant enough to ignore its significance. You see, the Campbell's soup can was an evolution of what they call pop art. Pop art had a lot of hang-ups about expressionism and stuff. There was no actual pure piece of pop art until the Campbell's soup can. The Campbell's soup can basically was a recognition that human beings had been so entrenched in consumerism that the products that we consume had become our aesthetic. It's a comment on consumerism. We've been consumed by our products in a way. It's kind of like the cliche when you walk into a crowded room and everybody's looking into their phones. Now maybe that idea makes Kyle Kulinski, the capitalist, uncomfortable. See, Kyle Kulinski believes that capitalism is part of human nature. That socialism is against human nature. Forget the fact that people cooperate every day. Forget the fact that we live in societies. Forget the fact that people cooperate every day when you're driving in traffic. Forget the fact that anytime you share a house with people, it works best when everybody pays an even share of the rent, even share of the bills, when people do an even share of the chores. Forget families and extended families. To him, every man for himself is the natural state of fucking human beings. The employer-employee relationship is the natural state of fucking human beings. Flipping burgers for $8.25 an hour with no hope of changing your fucking life is the natural state of human beings. And you can forget any idea that you had that a public healthcare system works better than a private healthcare system, because that's against human nature. This is what I don't really like the Campbell soup cans. I recognize their importance, but I really prefer like imperfect art. I like the Death series, Picture of the Electric Chair. I like the movies, although I think of the movies less as movies and more as like moving pictures. Like I think they're better off in a museum on a wall. That's what I like. What I don't like is the broadcasting equivalency, the broadcasting equivalent of a high school morning announcement telling me and everybody within earshot not to fucking vote. That we should just bend the knee to some fucking demon pizza fucking authoritarian cult led by a fucking retarded game show host. That's a fucking strategy. This fucking idiot wants you to stay at home on election day. Forget the fact that if the Senate gets flipped to Democrat, Bernie Sanders gets to be in charge of the budget committee. Forget all the advances made by progressive fucking candidates who've won offices in primaries, which people never thought would fucking happen. Forget all the work that's been done up till now to fucking change this fucking society. Forget the fucking fact that me and my fucking friends don't get to do fucking stand-up comedy because of a fucking pandemic. This lazy, blank canvas of a motherfucker, of a child, is advising people to not fucking vote. Fuck that shit. Fuck him and fuck his fascist friends. His taste is in his ass. Google Marcel Duchamp. You might like it. It's pretty cool.